Look at the history of Bitcoin. Look at the history of bubbles. It is a repetitive story. In fact, there's a quote here from this book I was just reading, The Ascent of Money by Niall Feurgeson. In the 400 years since shares were first bought and sold, there has been a succession of financial bubbles. So familiar is the pattern that it is possible to distill it into 5 stages. I'm going to go through that a little bit later. But also look at the history of Bitcoin. If you find a chart where you can sort of zoom in on time ranges, you can go back to around, years ago when Bitcoin was at a penny and it shot up to 10 cents and then crashed down to 2 cents. If you look at a graph right now, it's like this. You can't see it. So if you can go in and zoom in on time, you see this boom, boom, and it settles a little bit higher. You can see it at, from $1 to $10. These numbers aren't exact, but there have been 5 or 6 Bitcoin bubble bust shows. That is just part of the process. Like I said, the last one was, Bitcoin was playing around $100. It went to 1,000 and crashed. It touched 200, and then came back up when we had this bubble, or this right now. It's a rally, and what's going on? I want to talk about it because I'm a little concerned. I think that the pattern continues. Why wouldn't the pattern continue, right? The question is, is it still going, or are we taking a break here? And I think right now we're taking a break, and I'm going to explain to you why. So I'm not saying to sell everything. I'm not saying to leave the business here. What I'm saying is I would wait a minute. If you're new and you're about to get in, just take a minute. Watch this video. Watch the news. Watch what's going on. I think you'll have a chance to get in cheaper. If you are overextended, I'm going to get to all that. First, I want to talk about what is going on, okay? So, all right. Now, let me go through the pattern of bubbles. And again, I'm not saying cryptocurrency is not one giant bubble that's going to go over 10 years. It's been a series of bubbles. Bitcoin has already had several, and I believe we're in another one right now, and maybe another one in 6 months. But right now, I think we're in stage 4 of the 5 stages, and let me go through. So first, stage 1 is displacement. There's a change in economic circumstances that creates new profitable opportunities. So this current bubble, and I'm talking about less than a year ago, we were at around 500, and a few weeks ago we're at 5,000. Okay, the 10x jump. That's the other thing. You look at the history in Bitcoin, 10x jumps all the time. Goes up 10x, but then it drops 80%, and then story goes on. So this last bubble is based on 2 things. One, ICOs or Ethereum. Originally I was like, oh, this is about Ethereum, but it's really about ICOs as a new way to raise money, and also about Japan and Korea legalizing and their population coming on board. So we had a huge growth in supply through the technology of ICOs, the legality and technology of exchanges spreading, and especially in Asia, Japan, and South Korea especially. Then stage 2, euphoria and overtrading. So, everybody getting into the trading, everyone's excited, prices going up. Obviously, we've seen that over the past year. Stage 3, mania, bubble. The prospect of easy capital gains attracts first-time investors and swindlers. We've seen the swindlers in the ICO land. We see first-time buyers. The ultimate, I am very fortunate because I have a key to knowing when we are near a top in a bubble, and that is when my mother wants to talk about it, when my mother wants to buy. Now, she didn't buy because she went on Coinbase and she couldn't figure it out, but that's, to me, is close enough. So we've clearly been in a mania. If you don't know, this is a mania. Now, manias can go on for a long time, so still, and listen, being wrong by 6 months during a mania is a lot of money. So, but and now stage 4, distress. Insiders discern that expected profits cannot justify the exorbitant prices, and they begin to take profits. I believe we're in stage 4 right now. I'm going to explain why. So, first of all, originally I was going to just do a video on the mechanics of what's going on. at the end of the day, prices are just about supply and demand. The value of a coin is simply we don't have a model for valuing currencies, cryptocurrencies, but for me, I think of it as two things. One is, what is the size of the ecosystem that trades and shares the coin, and what value does that coin provide? And so, when the ecosystem is growing, or the value is growing, then the price will grow. Well, right, and we had this growing ecosystem here, like I said, with Japan and Korea, and the other governments are hands off. All of a sudden, we've got China now shrinking the ecosystem, closing down exchanges, and it's now clear they're serious. They're like, you're closing down, So the ecosystem, if you want to call it, is shrinking by, I don't know the exact percent, let's say 20 or 30%. That's significant. It's not going to end Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies, but this is a constraint. It's the opposite of what led to the first few stages. This is distress, okay? Plus you have governments. The U.S. government recently said tokens are securities, and they've been also sort of, you see in the media too, Jamie Dimon coming out and saying this is a fraud. This is governments are now attacking, trying to shrink the ecosystem, trying to prick the bubble. And as much as everyone's like, oh, again, cryptocurrencies, yeah, they're taking over the world. Yeah, in the long run, the dollar, if it doesn't go crypto, is going to have a problem. I agree with all that. But governments are pretty good at pricking bubbles, so you need to be careful. And so, again, with the securities, the U.S. government now could legally go and tell Kraken and Poloniex they got to shut down right now because there were securities exchanges that are not set up to be security exchanges. So, the clampdown might not even be over. But if it's just China, again, that supply is coming off. That's the distress. So who's selling? The people, the insiders in China who've made a shitload of money are saying, oh, God, I better take some money off the table, right? Even Japan, where it's legal, they're starting to scrutinize a little. And the ICO market, was hotter than hot. And now, it's not. And I think people who raised a lot of money, those insiders, they're like, we better convert this to some cash here because we have a business to run. The insiders now are selling. I believe we're at stage 4. Stage 5, revulsion, discredit. As share prices fall, the outsiders stampede for the exits, causing the bubble to burst. So, if you are somebody who's ever typed FUD exclamation point on a comment, you're going to be stage 5. Anybody you're on margin, crazy, all this stuff, that's when all the, I have no uncertainty and doubt, I'm buying hand over fist, we're going to the moon, Lambos, all those people are going to put their tail between their legs and sell at the worst time. And I don't say this with disdain. I've been there. I've messed up bubbles. Most bubbles I've messed up. It's hard. I get it, and I'm older. I've got scars to prove it. The housing bubble for me was not the best. Internet bubble, I was okay. But the housing bubble, man, yeah, I know. It's okay. But I believe that's where we're heading. Now, also, I just want to stress here, these things can happen real fast. When I say it's going down, I got my finger on the trigger. I watch this shit every day. If you're buying hold, if you only look at prices once every couple weeks, you're buy and hold, don't do anything. Just watch, try not to get emotional, and if prices go down, you're like, oh shit, it'll come back, you're fine. But if you sleep with one eye open with the prices on your phone, 2 months can be a long time, okay? So, just, if nothing else, have your seatbelt on, and one thing I recommend is getting small. I remember I heard this in the housing, when the housing crash was happening, someone on CNBC was like, they're like, what are you doing now? He's like, I'm getting small. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? So it reminded me of Steve Martin in his old comedy routine, and making fun of people saying getting high. He's like, I'm gonna get small. I'm gonna get really, really, really small. So what that is you want to make, if I am right, and if we are about to hit stage 5, what that means is, so we were at about 500. We did our 10x show. We rang the bell at 5,000. We've come down. It looks to me around 3,200. You know that we're going to play around here for a minute, and we're going to hit 32, 30, or around 3,000, 3,200 to 3,000. One day the bottom falls out, and it's look out below, and it could touch 1,000. Now, my expectation is that this doesn't last for that long. Now, of course, I could be wrong. Like if governments keep pricking the bubble, hopefully they're done now. You know, China did its thing, and America's just sort of being in the middle. Like if all the attacks are done, I think this doesn't take too long. Okay, but the point is, the point is that sometimes. So the last bubble, Mt. Gox, when that fell, right? Mt. Gox collapsed. You lost 75% of your exchange trading. The government was arresting people. The U.S. government, exchanges were closing, but we lost like almost so many exchanges. It was down for 2 years. 2 years, 80% off the highs. I don't think this happens this time because China's only 30%. Doesn't look as crazy, but you don't know how long it's going to be. But it could literally be. So to me, by the end of October, Huobi and OKcoin, two big exchanges, need to be closed. So to me, it's like you kind of got to wait for that to happen. I feel like, you know, and hopefully, if that's all there is, you know, and we're gonna watch what happens. But it's possible that in November we're hitting that low, and then it's going back up. So this is not a I'm not expecting a long-term doldrum here. And that's why also I say don't dump your shit if you're not like a crazy sort of, you're on top of this stuff, because it could just come right back. But I do, so back to getting small. When the shit hits the fan, you know, so Ethereum, my favorite. You know, if everything goes down and you get number 5, stampede for the exits, Ethereum gets hurt. But it sort of comes right back. And it's safe, you know, you keep Ethereum directly on the blockchain. You don't have to worry about leaving it in an exchange, which could go under and all this stuff. So that's sort of safe. You're hiding out in a leader on the blockchain. That's small. Like the ultimate in small is all you own is Ethereum and you leave it sitting on a blockchain. Big would be you have 20 different tokens, each on a different wallet with the private keys, and some are on exchanges and all this. That's called big. And when the shit starts flying around, you're going to get killed. So a lot of things, when the bubble bursts, everybody goes down, but the fringe, all the shit coins go to zero. All the this will be good maybe in 5 years, but they're expensive today, go down 90+%. But the winners in the next boom, like Ethereum, go down 50 to 80%, and as soon as the down is over, they're popping back up. So you want to get small. If right now you're overextended, if you're you know, or if you're waiting to buy, I've been very bullish. I've always been. Everyone's like, "What should I do?" I'm like, "Buy Ethereum now. Like, just buy it." And now I am saying, just hold on a minute, and we'll keep our eye on this stuff. But I think we're about to hit stage 5. Okay, what else do we have? So that's, you know, I think I went over everything I had to say, and just tell you what I've done. So I like to be buy and hold. Sometimes it doesn't work out. I recently, so my portfolio I just showed. So here's the thing. It's like, I showed a portfolio. I have a video a few days ago of my favorite portfolio. I've got a few coins and this and that. And then I'm like, shit, you know what? I want to have some cash. I'm a little scared this is going down, and I want to have some cash. But like, you know, so I have Stellar Lumens, for example, on the Stellar Exchange. If I want to sell those, and that's a 10-year plan, I'm happy to leave them there. Let's say I wanted to sell them. I got to get it off the Stellar Exchange, send it to a shady exchange, and sell it there, convert it to Bitcoin, and then move that to I don't know where, maybe, and then I move it to Coinbase, and then I sell that to dollars, and the trading fees alone are probably 20%. Not to mention, it'll take me 2 days So that's not a trading vehicle. You know, I'm not. You know, that's it. I got my stellar lumen. It's. I could possibly buy some more sometime if it's low, but you're not. I can't get in and out of that. That's insanity. And my Ethereum, I don't want to sell. And most things are pretty hard. The only thing I have that I think, you know, Bitcoin is sort of a trading vehicle. It's easy to send money around. It's easy to convert. So what I did, my 30% of my portfolio was Bitcoin. I just sold it. You know, I just sold it all yesterday, like 3,700. I'm like, I bought it at 350. Now it's over 3,500. You know, that can't be horrible. And if it is, and the shit keeps going up, I don't know. So I've got cash that I'm going to be happy to reinvest if we go lower, and so I'm just going to watch. I'm expecting it to break down. I think it's gonna be slow here till about 3,000. Then I think the bottom falls out. We get a little panic. The fudders start, and by fudders, not the people who point out uncertainties, the people who freak out when they read uncertainties. Those are the ones that are gonna sell. We're gonna see some sort of panic, and I'm hoping that when Bitcoin's at 1,000, I would then buy some Ethereum. So I don't Bitcoin. I mean, and I may get some more Bitcoin just to be in that, but I'm all about the Ethereum. But I think Bitcoin is the easier price to follow because it's followed such a distinct pattern, and I think that pattern probably remains true. But once it gets below 2,000, I would start nibbling, depending on what's happening in the news and all these things. But just a little bit at a time, as I hope it keeps going lower and lower, and that's my plan. So again, don't get mad at me. I'm not saying that the story is over. I could be wrong. Predicting the future is a fool's errand. If you don't have any coins, you know, be ready to buy some. If you're overextended, you may want to think to sell a little. Just be careful here. Governments, they're coming at the euphoria here. They're trying to throw cold water on the party, and governments are pretty good at throwing cold water on parties. Who popped the Japanese bubble? The government. Who our housing bubble? What did it pop? Because the Fed raising rates. When governments come in and say we want to pop the bubble, they're usually pretty good at it. So be careful. Put your seatbelt on. Good luck.